How come you cannot change his direction and you cannot change the direction of a lot of people from here? What is the problem with this energy that you are not attracting to make things happen the way you understand the world, because there is a way to do it?
We are all conditioned by the hypnosis of our childhood and conditioned by society, by ideologies, by religion, by history, by economics, and the prevailing scientific paradigm to look at the world in a certain way. And, you know, you asked the question, intention. I would ask, what's the origin of intention? Okay? Do you believe in free will, sir?
I think free will is a very persuasive illusion. I'm very pleased to have that illusion. I behave and feel as if I have free will. Well, then we
might as well stop the debate. None of us has free will or the ability to make a choice right now. I do believe that your intentions trigger behavior, trigger neural networks to act in a certain way, activate genes that are activated as a result of your emotional experiences. So I believe that intention triggers neural networks and then reinforces them, if you reinforce the intention, what we call habit, to create what is called long-term potentiation, and that then your behavior influences the activity of your genes to reinforce that behavior. So the fact is that you won't change anybody's mind here after the debate. In fact, those people who agree with Dr. Dawkins will go back stronger in their belief. Okay, and those people who agree with me will go back stronger. We're not going to change your minds because we're all bamboozled by our conditioning to begin with.
Still learning my way around this. Okay, this is a quote from Deepak. It's an interesting one. Evolution doesn't simply, this is from your book with Mlodinow. Evolution doesn't simply scramble old ingredients into new forms, nor does it just turn small clumps of matter into bigger clumps. Instead, evolution makes lumps of creativity. These happen in quantum form. That is, there is a sudden emergence of a property that never existed before. Quantum, there's a little gap there then, quantum leaps dominate in creation everywhere we look, but especially in the startling, beautiful novelty of life forms on Earth. The cosmos is ruled by creativity. Now, neither of us are physicists, so neither of us actually know much about quantum theory, but we are biologists, and you have used the word, the jargon of quantum theory there, to apply to evolution as though evolution it takes quantum leaps, or what do you mean by that?
The emergence of language, for example, from no language at all, is a quantum leap. Okay, the emergence of organisms, the transition of organisms where you do not actually see continuity, is a quantum leap. Quantum leaps are happening in consciousness and biology all the time. Right now I'm wearing biosensors, by the way, and these are measuring things like blood pressure, skin resistance, all kinds of things. This information can be transmitted to an iPhone and goes to a computer and scripts where we are doing digital monitoring of consciousness, how it affects biology. Wait a minute. So if I said, I know his blood pressure is rising right now just by me saying these things. So this is right there, proof of the mind-body connection. If somebody says, I love you, and it means something to you, your brain makes dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, opiates. If the same person says, another person says, I love you, or the same person, and you're thinking of divorcing them, then you don't make dopamine, you make adrenaline and cortisol, and it happens instantly. There's a quantum shift in your biology just in the way you processed meaning. and there's no physical mechanism that explains how we process meaning in our lives. Only consciousness can process meaning. So when you say quantum leaps in evolution, one of the big problems in evolution right now, you will admit, is the missing gaps in the fossil record. Now, when I say that, evolutionary biologists will either snigger or raise their blood pressure, which he's doing right now. So, because they are so sure that evolution has only those two mechanisms, natural selection and random evolution. The current issue of the New Scientist has a feature article called "Do Organisms Guide Their Own Evolution?" And it talks about how phenotypes might drive the genetic expression, how use-dependent activation of genes will reinforce even the propagation of those genes through natural selection. The reporter who wrote the article, he called Dr. Dawkins, by the way, who was extremely dismissive of him. Do you remember him calling you?
Time is over. Otros 3 minutos. You have 3 minutes, Dr. Dawkins.
This really epitomizes the problem we're up against. You have used the word quantum leap in two totally different ways, and you've confused everybody, not everybody, I'm happy to say.
A quantum leap.
You have used the phrase quantum leap to apply to the origin of language and the origin of life and jumps in the fossil record. Now, this is a purely metaphorical usage of the term quantum leap. All you're using it for is a change that's occurred in the world for which we have as yet no explanation.
A change.
May I finish, please? On the other hand, you have used the word quantum in the proper physicist sense. You talked about digital information going to satellites and things like that. In that case, you were talking about quantum theory in the true sense of quantum mechanics. You are bamboozling people by using quantum in two completely different senses, giving them the impression that there's something about modern physics, something about the spooky aspects of modern physics, which is relevant to things like the origin of language or the origin of life or breaks in the fossil record. Now, those three things, the origin of life, origin of language, breaks in the fossil record, are scientific problems. To the extent that we don't yet have the answer to them, we're still working on them. They have nothing whatsoever to do with quantum in the physicist sense.
He has 1 30 minutes. You still have 1 30 seconds.